Hey everybody, welcome into Roosters on Olentangy River Road here in Columbus, Ohio. This is Lettermen Live, brought to you by our good friends at Roosters. This is a fun, casual conversation about the Buckeyes. Anthony Schlegel, attack and dominate. The difference down there at the end. He's back. Jake Stoneburner, first time in several weeks, former Ohio State and NFL tight end / wide receiver, depending on who his coach was. And Mike Doss, you guys know him, the All-American, the captain in the defensive backfield. I am just Austin Ward. Do you guys want to talk about 73-14, or do we need to talk about the real stuff that's going on?
Why not talk about it?
All right, okay, we can start there.
We're here.
All right, it went about just the way we expected. Ohio State was a massive favorite last week, and they delivered. That 42-0 first half had the starters out there. It was about as good as you can display you can put on. Then the backups got a bunch of work in the second half. Again, just like we thought might happen. I don't care where you start, Schlegel. What was the most important thing you saw on Saturday?
Oh, well, I most important thing for me and probably for Mike as well is the fact that Ohio State defense only gave up 139 yards, right? So that's something. Really, the thing that stood out to me, besides the fact of the depth of the positions that we have that you got to see in the second half, is the fact that we ran an onside kick of 14-0. Yes. And here's the thing. People were like, why is he doing that? He didn't do it when we were up 42-0.
Right.
He did it when there was still some skin in the game, right? Like it was 14-0. What happens if they get, good field position? But he wanted to go out there like we've seen him do earlier in the season and put these type of situations in, put these plays in to where, hey, when called upon, this is something that we can execute when we need it. Mm-hmm. They haven't attempted that. Great time to do it, and they ran it flawlessly. So those things, and the last thing would be that we're healthy.
Yeah, like you said, the onside kick, you're setting the tone. You're sending some messages, later through the schedule. Hey, we got this in our repertoire.
You have to prepare for it.
Be on alert. So, that was – and it kept the offense steamrolling. It felt good to just kind of watch them and say, you know what, we're just going to keep this thing going.
Sony, was there something more important than those 2 catches for Jeremy Ruckert?
That sounds about right there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, to me it was just them showing up and putting Maryland in their place. Sometimes great teams can play down to lower talent just because it's a Big Ten play. You can overlook, maybe look ahead at Penn State or just these next 2 weeks, and they beat the brakes off them.
Yeah.
And that's what you like to see off a championship team, not playing down to the lower talent. And to me, them coming up and 42-0 a half.
Yep.
Come on.
I did think it was interesting because this felt like a game, and I wondered if Ryan Day would handle it where you can either go completely vanilla for a couple of weeks, both sides of the football, or you can throw a bunch of stuff on film to force Penn State and Michigan to prepare for it. And I thought with the offense, including Jeremy Ruckert getting those catches, it was like, here's some more stuff to think about. You saw the jet sweep, the ghost motion, tight ends getting involved in the passing attack. Am I wrong there? It looked like Ohio State was willing to say, we can do all of this stuff. Do you think you can stop it?
Yeah, I think that's what kind of the onside kick was like too, is hey, you got to now study everything we can do because it's now towards the end of the season. You got a lot of film to watch. We're going to throw in even more wrinkles just so you guys have no clue where we're coming from and how we're coming from.
And what that does is, even on defense, right, having the different motions and stuff, guys have to stay at home. The front line guys on a kickoff, hey, we need a big return here. Well, I can't leave early because we've seen that they could do an onside kick here because that's where Olave plays the position on kickoff. Mm-hmm. Now, it'd be very different if he was only in there for that one particular special teams play. Right, it's like, there's Olave. Be sure, hey, if that guy's wide, here's his splits. But if it's the same every single time they run kickoff, just like that, those guys on the back end have to stay home. And that's why you see them being able to do that because also – it's giving their guys confidence, giving Ohio State offense confidence that, hey, we can run motion. We're not going to have illegal procedure penalties. We're not going to have guys lined up off the ball and have ineligibles, right? Like, we have to work on these things, again, with live bullet situations so our guys have confidence. It's a confidence builder along with getting everybody else involved. And those guys that are, underclassmen that are backing up these guys, they now get to eat a little bit, and that's important too. But they got to be able to eat running our system. Right, we're not going to vanilla it down just so you can be productive. Sure. You're going to have to run exactly what the ones run because when called upon, you got to respond that way.
And I think the big thing comes down to coaching. I mean, the way that Ryan Day wants to prepare his coaching staff week in and week out. We have a routine. This is how we prepare. We game plan. Yeah. If we see there's an opportunity for a new wrinkle, let's add that. We catch them in a cover 3 or we catch them in a bastard cover, 4. Hey, we want to get that look where we got 2 tight end running down the seam with number 1 running down the numbers. And, hey, we saw, I think, Fields' first completed pass was to the tight end, behind the backers, and then he threw a touchdown later to the receiver running down the numbers. So, I mean, they prepared the same as they always do. And Coach Day said, hey, we're not going to change. We're just going to do what we do, and it puts up 73 points.
All right. The mac and cheese bites are already
gone.
The first segment of the show, you're going to have to call in the
reserves.
Sorry.
I was in a treat stand this morning.
I didn't eat. He's drinking coffee, everybody.
We're going to have to flag down some help here to get Schlegel another order of mac and cheese bites.
They're so good.
With his Ohio State mug. I love it.
All right, so I haven't mentioned the name Chase Young yet. I promise we're going to have a long discussion about that. These guys all have unique perspective that they will bring to that later on. So just purely from the on-field standpoint, guys, you looked at Saturday. I mean, Zach Harrison gets his first start. He gets a sack. Tyreek Smith, healthy. He goes out there, gets 2 sacks. All told, the damage was 7 sacks. That was the highest total of the season for Ohio State, and it was without not only Chase Young, but Jonathan Cooper. If you had told me in August you're going to have both of these starting defensive ends missing, and Ohio State gets 7 sacks in a game, Zach Harrison is starting. I know the guy's a 5-star, but I did not think at this point of the year he was going to be ready for that. Even with Coach Jay, it usually takes a year or 2 years. Mm-hmm. I was, people say it's only Maryland. We go play the game. You play the team that's in front of you.
Right.
And that defensive line showed that there will not be a drop-off. And Devon Hamilton, I think, is playing as well as any nose tackle in the country.
Way to bring his name out because I think he had one of the early sacks in the game, along with Malik and Tuff. And Tuff had a really good game. And that's kind of where a game like this is where people don't realize, and throughout the body of work that they've done, the stats really don't tell the entire story, right? Our number ones aren't having the stats that you see at other schools, right? Well, why? Because they're done after the first half or the end of the third quarter, right? So, the top leading tackler, Malik Harrison, top one, and guess how many tackles they had? 5. Like, that stinks, right? If you're looking at, hey, how am I going to pad my stats and be in the conversation for an all Big Ten linebacker? Well, I'm sorry, you only played 2.5 quarters. But that being said, you now have this depth, and it's not just necessarily for this year, but it's for years to come. And the fact that you had, Jean Baptiste?
Yeah, Javonte Jean Baptiste.
Yeah, Jean Baptiste, and you had Harrison starting over him, I believe, right? So that battle's been going on. It's just, it's a testament to that competitive excellence. There's never a day off. Every time you go out to practice, the job is on the line.
Absolutely.
Oh, Chase is out. Well, guess what? Now it's up to you. And before, at the beginning of the year, that was Jean Baptiste, and now it's Zach Harrison. And then guess what? You got to maximize your opportunity. So you go out there, you play the way that we have coached you to play. You handle your assignments. You get some sacks. You get some pressure. Boom. That just raises your stock in the eyes of the coaches and your teammates. Wow. So that's the good thing about what happened on Saturday too.
And Stoney, talk about using the tight end. They can't even just use them on offense. They got Rashad Berry lined up at defensive end again. Like, they're everywhere. The tight ends are everywhere for this team.
Except for scoring touchdowns. Hey, when your name's called, no matter if it's special teams, blocking on defense, blocking on offense, catching balls for Ohio State, you go out there and do whatever it takes to get that win.
You knocked our guy Zach Bourne out of the
that's what I was going to say. Here's the deal. The only reason they put him in is because they didn't want to have Zach Bourne as the only guy that played offense and then played defense.
Hey,
right? Because Zach's like, yeah, that was me. But now they finally snuck a guy in there to join him in the conversation.
A real athlete.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. To Zach's credit, what he did that one particular year, if you guys don't remember, Zach went from playing offense and then the next week starting at linebacker versus Indiana and actually had a really good game and played the rest of the year at linebacker because defensively we needed some juice and a spark, and that's kind of how Zach was. But again, bodies are bodies, and he has the ability to play both sides. That's just great. It's great for him, and it's great for the coaches in depth.
Stoney, back in 2012 when Zach did that, what credibility does that give somebody in the locker room doing what Rashad Berry is doing now? You guys need me in another way, I'll do it. Whatever. How does that help?
It's crazy to think about, especially when we were playing because, Zach Boren, going from fullback to he always thought he was a linebacker because he played in high school. I mean, he was a linebacker, and he went out and proved it, and it earned that respect around. Not that Zach didn't have it anyways, but he was out there talking how good he was at linebacker. Then he went out and played a Big Ten game and had 8 or 9 tackles. Okay, not that it just validified what Zach was bringing to the table, and I think that can only help the locker room now that we have guys willing to do whatever to get these wins.
What did you think about the defense on Saturday, Dawson?
I mean, the defense played dominant football. I mean, the young guys gave up a little bit of yardage and a couple of touchdowns, but at the end of the day, you're getting reps, you're getting quality, real-life bullets, and those guys are just, preparing for their opportunity. As Schlegel said, I mean, you were one play away. I mean, as we see, we are one decision away from the NCAA to be starting. So, you got to come out prepared, and I just love the way they flew around. They had fun, even though it was late in the game. They sure were cheering each other on, trying to make plays. We got an interception from another safety, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
of
course you like that. Well, the other thing, too, is what Stoney said. There's a big word. It starts with a C, ends in commitment. It's called commitment. Right, and that's the one thing. You're like, I flow that.
I thought
out
it was
there.
going to end in haste.
Yeah, no, man, I don't even need to go there. That's up to you to go there. But the fact is, like Coach Meyer always talked about, the four things of building trust, and one was character, competence, and then commitment. Right, and so one, you got a kid that has a high character guy. He is competent at being a tight end, but you know what? He's committed overall to the team first, and wherever the team needs you, that's where we're going to put you because we want the best 11 out there. And what that does for the younger cats, it's like, hey, listen, I need to build up my entire repertoire of things that I can do and how I can add value to this team.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, get a word from Roosters real quick. I'm sure that, he's got another order of mac and cheese bites probably coming for Schlegel. We'll see what else he can dig into. We will be right back to roll along, talk about Ohio State as Rutgers comes next week. All right, let's take a quick break there from the Ohio State football talk. We bring in Nicole Cox from Roosters, one of our great friends of the program here, and it's Veterans Day.
It is.
And it's really cool what Roosters does to support the veterans.
It's a very, very special day to us. We look at it as we wouldn't be where we are today without all those who serve our country. Yeah. And today is a day to celebrate them. If you look around the store, we get very festive. And every veteran that comes in, we give a $10 Rooster Buck as long as they provide, identification that they're a vet. Yeah. And we just so dearly want to thank all of them.
Yeah, it's really cool. Came in today, saw all the new Roosters shirts, the camo this year. You guys really get into it. That's so cool. And then I'm sure that picks up the business, but just having it in the Roosters Foundation, supporting those veterans, I know how important that is for you guys all year round.
It's very important to us. And we are partnered with Third and Goal Foundation, which was founded by Brady Quinn. And it's a way for us to give back to veterans in that way as well. We want as many outlets as we can because, again, we're just so appreciative of their service. So, and we actually came across a bunch of our own employees that are vets as well. And we were so excited to spotlight them on social media. It was very neat.
Yeah, it's not just today. It's all year round. But today is the day that you get your $10 Roosters Bucks. Yes. You don't want to miss that.
Come in today, yes.
And, you've also got the holidays coming up, so while we've got you here.
Can you believe it?
I mean, I don't. No, I mean, there's only 3 weeks left in the regular season. So in my brain, that's like, okay, well, the holidays are coming up after that. But you guys have a lot of stuff planned, too, for the next couple months. What can people look forward to at Roosters?
So we still have a couple weeks left of the Buckeye Bowl Trip giveaway people can register for. And then our holiday bonus buck promotion starts at the end of the month, where every $50 in gift cards you buy at Roosters as gifts, you get a gift in return, a $10 bonus buck. So it's our way of, you give and you shall receive.
Nicole, I don't want to put you on the spot. What if there's a second bowl game, the national championship? What are we going to do then?
I'm thinking there is going to be one, and we will go to the first bowl game.
There's the prediction.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just to clarify. All right, we got that locked up. I think it's going to be the Fiesta Bowl in Phoenix, but Nicole doesn't have to weigh in on that. That's my spot.
I do too. Hey guys, the last time I made a prediction, I was almost spot on. Yeah. So
it's pretty easy to bet on the Buckeyes right now. They're rolling along.
They're doing so well.
Always watch them. They got that game against Rutgers on Saturday. You can come watch it at Roosters if you're here in Columbus.
Yes.
3:30. Come hang out here at Olentangy River. It's the place to be. Nicole, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Austin.
All right, back to the show. All right, welcome back into Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. Schlegel's polishing off probably another plate of something. I'm not even sure what he's got going over there. He's got his Arnold Palmer. I was digging into Doss's pickle chips this week. Okay. I promised we would talk about it. We can't avoid it. The story was broke at Lettermen Row on Friday. Chase Young with the NCAA situation, taking a loan from a family friend. And the way that this process works, I think I've been asked this a bunch of times. Is it a suspension from Ohio State? Is it a suspension from the NCAA? How's it going to resolve? Well, both and neither. Ohio State has to immediately.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. Right. Well,
I mean, what the Sam Dickens is that?
Well, Ohio State didn't, just decide that this rubbed them the wrong way and suspended Chase Young, and the NCAA wasn't digging into it. It was reported by Ohio State, and the NCAA has guidelines for how they should handle it. So Chase Young...
Was it reported by Ohio State?
It was brought to their attention after the Wisconsin game. Well, I see what you're saying there, Stoney. I'm sorry for misreading the cue. I won't dive into that. I'll let you handle your own. But Ohio State had to rule instantly ineligible, and that's what Chase Young is currently until they get a word back on the appeal for his status. That could be 2 games. It could be 4 games. It could be the worst-case scenario would be the end of his career. Everything that I have heard suggests that this is going to be a 2-game suspension for Chase Young and that he will miss Saturday's game against Rutgers. It's not a prediction from me. It doesn't mean that that's what 100% is what's going to happen, as became obvious with the report from ESPN that was refuted by Ohio State on Saturday. Nobody actually knows what the suspension is going to be until the NCAA decides and the appeal is heard. So now that I've got that all out there, there's probably a dozen other questions that I just created.
Well, let's reference a couple precedents. Let's go back to A.J. Green.
Okay.
At the University of Georgia, sold his jersey, bowl jersey, and he ended up having to pay back what it cost, what he ever sold it for, and he sat out, I believe, 2 games.
Yep.
You know, and then you have Clinton Dix at the University of Alabama, same kind of situation. Took a loan, and he's predicted to sit out several games. Ends up sitting out 2 games. So we talking about big universities: Georgia, SEC, Alabama, prominent university with great players in their squad. And this is probably another case where I would assume, again, I'm not the expert here, and I'm not making the final decision. But Chase Young, will probably miss maybe 1 more game, if that, and hopefully be back on the field based off the parameters. And there's been precedents before this, so it's not like this is the first time this ever happened, and we're just trying to, make someone an example.
Right.
Special delivery over here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of NCAA violation talk. We'll lighten it up with some mac and cheese.
Right. And from the true words of it, it wasn't an agent, and what has been brought to the attention of the investigation is like, hey, how do you penalize a kid who's done everything right? His whole, he's grown up, and he wants, a significant other or a family member to attend the Rose Bowl, where it's a trip to California. I mean, his family's in Maryland. And
costs money.
It costs money.
So I didn't know that would happen.
You guys have been through this before, and what I'm most interested in this case is when the NCAA decides what they're going to do and what the final penalty is. How can it be at the same time that they're trying to give guys their name, image, and likeness rights, where if Chase Young had an autograph session last December after the Big Ten championship game before the Rose Bowl,
right?
Well, who would he have needed a loan from?
Exactly.
Nobody.
Nobody.
And so you're either going to –
He's making way more money than Mike Dawson's doing.
For one signing.
For one signing.
And I just, you look at it, it's like, well, I mean, I know the rules are the rules, and he broke them when the rules were in place, but it would seem pretty hypocritical if they're like, well, we're going to make this the maximum penalty available for Chase Young. But, if it had happened after next season, he could have totally done it, and everything would have been fine. I know that that's a flippant way of looking at it, but – you guys know that you've been gone through this for your years where you were amateurs and not allowed to do anything, how significant this could be and how it changes the game so that we won't even have to talk about something that, frankly, this loan being paid back seems like a really stupid way for the best player in college football to be missing games.
It's crazy. I lost a whole senior year, a junior year, all because of something similar.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot more guys and maybe a lot more involved.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it was guys benefiting from their name.
Right.
And
their likeness.
Yeah, and I lost almost 2 years off my career. My last season didn't count, and I lost my head coach and 5 starters, all because they benefited off their name. To me, it's pretty ridiculous, especially with Chase just paying back the loan. Not from an agent. It's not from an outside. Well, we don't know, but from his words, it's not. It blows my mind he even is getting suspended.
Right.
I get why, kind of, from the NCAA's perspective of violating a rule, but the fact that that's even an option for someone to get a loan, so he did it the right way, pay it back on time, or with whatever money he had. It's not like he got someone else to pay back his loan. He paid back his own loan, which you're supposed to do, and yet he's still getting in trouble.
Yeah, my biggest thing is, one, and then also in 2012, we lost the opportunity to go to a bowl game, and they were undefeated, so they probably would have played Notre Dame, not Alabama, because they had a loss, in the national championship game, and Notre Dame was not very good, and we probably would have beat them there. And Coach Bauer had his first national championship at Ohio State in 2012. So the ramifications for all those different things that happened in that 10 season and into 11 when we went 6-7, right? It was awful. And then you look at this, and I'm not going to get into hypotheticals because I honestly don't know the entire situation. Some says it was somebody aspiring to be an agent that's a family friend. Like, I don't know. But at the end of the day, like, going back, I was on Pale Grant. I didn't have a lot of money. I understand exactly where Chase is coming from. My wife happened to be up here at the time when I was playing, and I didn't have to fly her. Like, she would go with me from Columbus, Ohio to the bowl game in Tempe, but I had to pay for it. Well, guess what? She worked. She was my sugar mama. It was amazing, right? So we could afford to go out there and do that. But at the end of the day, where all these things are moving forward in the future and player likeness, that should happen. But guess what? I guarantee you it's not going to be the only time that we talk about somebody else taking a loan. The one thing that Chase Young did, period, was the fact that he came out and said, I was wrong, and I owned up to it, right? And then automatically, regardless of what's being said, Ohio State took the more conservative route and looked at our schedule and probably looked at exactly like what Mike Doss did. He said, okay, if we rule him ineligible for Maryland, right, and we bring this to the attention of the NCAA because it was brought to our attention.
Right.
So then we went through it and we brought it to the NCAA's attention that, hey, these things happen, potential violation. We have ruled him ineligible versus Maryland. At max, based off of that, and even if the precedent is 4, but then they got reduced to 2, you're like, okay, even for this, something is so small, something that somebody, we can't really wrap our heads around, the max that can happen for violating something that the NCAA deems, that he broke, a rule that he broke, it's going to be 2 games. No better 2 games than you can have than Maryland and Rutgers. Because at the end of the day, when we need them the most is Penn State and at that team up north.
Yeah, that's a little bit of, I guess, good fortune for Ohio State because this is the other question that comes up a lot. Well, if he did this last year and he played the first 8 games, could Ohio State have to forfeit those games back? Do they have to vacate? No, because it was not brought until their attention until after Wisconsin. Unless Chase Young was aware that he should have been ruled ineligible, and if Ohio State knowingly played him, then that's the situation. But as you're saying right there, Schlegs, it's not like they said, hey, let's pick Rutgers and Maryland because we can do without him. He had to be ruled ineligible from the moment they found out until the moment he was cleared. That's just the way it works. And I know that everyone loves to talk about Ohio State and how convenient that would be to get him back for Penn State, get him back for Michigan.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, yeah, it works out. But guess what? Somebody tipped him off at that amount at that time.
Right.
I don't know who it was.
Who's the whistleblower? No, we don't.
But it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's not like Ohio State waited until 8 games were in the rearview mirror until Chase was number 2 in the Heisman race.
Right.
It was like, guess what? We're going to do it right now.
Yeah.
That's just not the way it works.
And that's unfortunate. I mean, you look at a situation where the kid is performing well. He's getting to the height and just had a great game on a big stage. And a bye week comes, and here we go with someone trying to be a whistleblower to hurt Ohio State. It's just unfortunate. And the NCAA had to change the rules. I'm glad the governor of California, pressed the issue. I'm glad he pressed the issue to make a move because, the NCAA has been standing behind the word student athlete for decades. But we as athletes generate millions, if not billions of dollars for the NCAA. So you got these board of trustees just sitting there, patting their pockets and trying to the March Madness is $1 billion month or it's billion dollar.
Well, what, you bring up March Madness, and that brings up another point: the fact that you have coaches that are in federal documents working on paying off $100,000 to parents and potential players, and yet they're still coaching.
Right.
And then you have a guy like this in Chase Young, and he is now ruled ineligible as he's climbing the ladder. Probably after this week, let's say he has another monstrous half, and he's the all-time leading sack record. He gets let's say he gets 2 more, so now he's at 15.5.
Yep.
Joe Burrows just had a game. He just had a game. It's probably Burrows and him.
Yep.
Right? In that thing. But yet he can't play because as soon as they found out about it, he had to be ruled ineligible. However, in college basketball, they're still invested in these guys. They're still looking at them. But guess what? The coaches aren't sitting out for their teams.
And the guy at Memphis didn't even sit a game. I don't know what is going to happen with that.
That's what I'm saying. Like what they did, Bobby brought up this point on the radio, is like they just pushed the issue. Like, I'm going to keep playing them. Yeah. Until you suspend them. And then if that's the case, then why did it happen in 2010 like that for us if they didn't really know about it, especially everybody else, because it affected everybody on the team.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So if they're just saying, hey, we're going to push this issue That's what they're doing in basketball, and let the chips fall where they may. I think that Ohio State, knowing and understanding the situation, Chase Young being very open about what transpired, probably looked at it like, are you telling us the truth? Absolutely, I'm telling you the truth. This is exactly how it went down. They're probably looking at that and saying, okay, there's probably going to be some type of ruling. It's probably going to be in the form of some type of suspension. Yeah. So you know what? As soon as we found out, we're going to do it right now. It just happened to be to where it fell on 2 games that are meaningless for Ohio State, right? In the grand scheme of things. Right. But we're going to do it now. That's just how it works. It's unfortunate though for Chase and all the guys because that's what they want. They want their buddy to succeed and be successful and be in that conversation. It's also good for us in recruiting too.
It'd be a pretty unfortunate way, I think, for the Heisman campaign to end, but he's still got a couple big games at the end of the month where he can play and make an impression. We'll talk a little bit more about that and this not-so-big game against Rutgers on Saturday when we come back.
Hey, college football fans, it's Zach Bourne here. You need to check out BetDSI.com. BetDSI is a great way to use your sports knowledge to make some extra cash. That's right. BetDSI is the top-rated online sportsbook. They've been paying winners for over 20 years. The reason they've been around that long is because they have got the fastest payouts in the industry. Plus, the user interface and mobile site is the best in the business. Play, win, and get paid. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if it's college football, the NFL, NBA, NHL, UFC, esports, reality TV, virtually anything. You can bet it. You can bet on it at BetDSI.com and get paid right now. There's no better way to add some excitement to games that you already are watching. Check out their live betting, where you can bet on games throughout the entire matchup, every play, and every minute until the end. BetDSI has a special deal for Lettermen Row fans. Use the promo code ROW100 to get a 100% bonus match. That's more than double. That's right, more than double your money to start winning today. Once again, go to BetDSI.com and use promo code ROW100 and get this limited 100% bonus offer to make some extra cash on the sports you know and love. BetDSI promo code ROW100. Now back to the show.
All right, welcome back to Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters, the final segment of the show. Usually it's breaking down matchups and picking the score, and you know, I guess we had a little practice with this last week with the pushover from Maryland. So it'll just be you guys eating. Okay, let's start there then, Schlegs. Can they score 100?
No.
I believe so. If Rutgers intern head coach is 2 years out of being a high school head coach, we should be able to put up 100. We could put up 100 points.
I did see it's going to be the highest spread ever.
It's 50 and a half.
It's going up through the roof.
What's the number right now?
50 and a half.
50?
It opened at 50 and a half. I believe it's 55 now. It's
52?
gone up.
52 and a
52 and a half. It's gone like
I
this.
wish I would have got it when it was at 50.
Wow.
But you can't bet in Ohio yet, so I didn't want to drive to Indiana.
Drive across. Zach Bourne.
Zach's over there. Zach, where are you? I got to get these points in right now. They're going up.
So no, you don't think they can? Like,
they probably.
I just think they
probably could, but they're not going to.
Okay.
No.
But here's the only thing I'll say as a counterpoint to that. We saw with Ryan Day last week, and you mentioned this. He'll play the first half. You don't know what's going to happen. Put all the starters out there, kicked onside. Rutgers are not going to be able to move the ball. They're not going to be able to stop them. I think about the 42-point second quarter against Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
You could do that twice. Like,
now you're in the 80s. You're 84.
And then you're there. And guess what? They're still not going to be able to stop Marcus Crowley when he gets in there, when Master T gets more reps. And here, the other guy, we talked about this on the Tim May podcast, DeMario McCall. If he is your fourth best guy, like I've been critical of him not being able to find a role all year, as you guys know on this show.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns last week.
But if he's your fourth guy, he's still better than most teams have, and any defense at Rutgers is not going to be able to stop him. Yeah. So I might predict later this week that they could get 100. Because I just think it's possible, and they're so worked up and so upset about everything else that's going on with Chase Young.
How do you know they're upset? I mean, you cover them all the time.
Right.
But, I'll just say
because you said they loved their brother and they wanted him out there.
Yeah, 100%.
I can see 80 points.
I can see that too. What do you got, Stoney?
I just think Ryan Day's heart won't do 100. He'll just his heart would just say,
what's funny to me is, like, Schlegs told us last week, what do? You put them in the dirt. You go out there,
you
get a chance to play.
And they get up, like, where's my junk?
And now
now
Schlegs like, no, we're just going to.
No, but here's what I'm saying, though. Here's where this goes, right? They're going to run their game plan. They're going to work on things that they've been working on in practice. Like, that's what you do. They keep score.
They keep scoring for a reason.
Yeah, so you go out there and you try to score. The problem is for Rutgers is the fact that our second and our third and our fourth are better than your ones.
Yes.
Right? And so you're going to go call those plays. It's still an opportunity to compete and go win a spot in the pecking order after the year.
Yeah.
Period. Right? So those guys, every time they get an opportunity, they want to go maximize it, right?
Yep.
And so that's what's going to happen in that second half. And the problem is that Rutgers still won't be able to move the football on our defense, and they'll probably try to take some, they'll have some risk. Hey, we're going to go for it on fourth down, or we're going to do some type of trick play, which could go into a turnover. And we see now the Buckeyes capitalize on those turnovers very, very quickly because we have great field position. So that's kind of how the game's going to look. I could see us putting up 50 at half, and then probably another 30 or 40 in the second with the backups. It's just
That's so many points.
The only way that can happen is if they have good field position and they capitalize on turnovers.
As I say, if we get some defensive touchdowns or a punt return, a kick return, who knows what the weather's going to be on the East Coast this weekend. We hearing a lot of snow coming in. So, I mean, you give or take.
What day is that happening? Do you know what day that's happening? Because I know the deer will be on their feet moving before that big storm hits.
Tonight. It's snowing tonight.
It's not coming down. I already hunted this morning. I'll be out there in the morning, though.
I'm going to argue with myself a little bit on this. Like, you bring up something that's interesting to me. Like with trick plays, Indiana did that as one of the first and only touchdowns, that you saw early in the season against that first-string defense. I don't know if Rutgers wants to take any chances to win this game or to try and score a touchdown. I wonder if they will just line up, hand it off 3 times, and be done with it, and try and get the game over as quick as possible for them. Because it's not Ohio State that just wants to avoid injury in this game. Rutgers could legitimately be injured by Chase Young coming after their quarterback if he played, or Tyreek Smith, or Tuff Borland, or Malik Harrison. Like, I'm not trying to.
But they're also
I don't mean to completely belittle them.
Grown, man.
They're still Big Ten athletes. I get that.
Sure, yeah, Big Ten athletes.
But you saw this with other teams that have played Ohio State. They don't try to make any sort of comeback. They're content to let the clock run too because they know that they can't compete on the same field as them.
And that's where Ryan Day will, especially in that fourth quarter, the passes that they do, try to execute will all be in bounds, right? They're not going to probably be taking deep shots, right? They're going to now again they want to see what their quarterbacks can do and what their wide receivers can do, but they're probably going to be more short and intermediate passes to keep the clock running. Right now, that's how you still be competitive, but also not just completely embarrassed because, again, they already are embarrassed. So if the score is 73-14, you're embarrassed, right? I mean, what's the difference between 90-0? It's still a blowout, and it's still embarrassing, right? But at the end of the day, let's go get our work done so we can get back home and prepare for the next one. And ultimately, what he's looking at, this is what he's looking at. What is our guys' focus on the road on Friday in the hotel? Does that look different than the Wisconsin Friday?
Sure.
Yep.
That's what he's looking at because if you have an elite team, it's going to be the exact same regardless of who you're playing because that's what they're going to have for the next 2 weeks versus Penn State and that team up north.
Stoney, these guys had to answer this last week with Maryland. They were how they handled being big favorites. When you guys went through it, when you saw the opponent, you watched the film, like you know what a team can do. How did you try and keep your mind right? Did you ever feel that slip in when you knew you could probably walk out on Saturday and be fine?
I know Stoney. I coached him. I can't wait to hear this answer.
I'm going to be there and show up and play. Because, the coaches, they're honest with you. They're like, yeah, we're going to
whip their ass.
We're going to whoop their asses. There's not if in our if, ands, or buts about it. We are the better team. We should beat their ass. So that's how you prepare. It's the coming out flat in the crowd that can, because you're better than them. The whole team knows it. I know I'm better than the guy across from me. It's just that atmosphere. Sometimes if it's noon, slow moving morning. Yeah. It's like, oh man, it's tough to get it going.
It's at 3:30, right?
It's at 3:30, yeah.
Great.
And I'm sure that Rutgers would be really excited if they announce Greg Schiano as their new head coach or their new old head coach on Friday. That'll really bring the people into the seats.
No way. It's going to be 90% Buckeyes.
What a brilliant move that is, too. Like, imagine this. I was telling somebody this the other day. It became clear that Greg Schiano, that deal is almost completely done.
Oh, he's going back?
Yeah, almost. It's almost
good for him,
across
man.
the finish
Greg's
line.
A good dude.
And so their reporters are saying, so they had a big party last week, the Celebration 150. Could have announced it then. Instead, they're saying, it's probably going to be on Friday. Oh, really? The day before the Ohio State beat that has a lot of questions about what's wrong with that defense,
Right?
The Tennessee situation. You're going to wait until the Columbus media is in New Jersey?
Yeah.
That's some great thinking.
Rutgers does their AD does a lot of really good things, like dog cussing out reporters about a scandal in the softball, right? You heard that, right?
I sure did.
Yeah, go look that up. I'm like, why'd you have to cuss them out? Like, just say, hey, listen, here's what we're doing. But no, I wanted to, mother F somebody and call them a blank bag, right? Great job. Yeah, awesome. Bring all the Columbus media there and let's
gonna have them come out and wave at halftime. Like if it's me, and it is me, I'm gonna be there on Friday. If they have a Greg Schiano press conference, I have to think in my mind, is it worth it to go? And it's probably not. But if you bring him out I could go, and others could go, and it becomes not about Rutgers feeling good about their past. It becomes Greg Schiano. How did you have the number 73 total defense in the country last year? You left, and all the same players are now the number 1 defense in the country with a bullet, a silver bullet.
Are you going to ask him that question?
I mean,
You don't have
on Friday, like here's the thing. On Friday, I wouldn't do that. It's not going to be worth it to me. We're trying to talk to some other commits maybe in the New Jersey area. So I'm not going to spend my Friday. But here's the problem. If you do that on Friday, he's going to be at the game on Saturday. And then all of the media, including me, we got nothing to lose. We got nowhere else to be. We're going to talk to Greg Schiano. Is that what you want?
Well, right. They have to open them up for.
But let
alone
that. All the current players looking back and going, "Oh, coach is over here now. Let's show them who we."
It's such a Rutgers.
Let's really drop 100.
Right. Let's really drop 100.
Well, the only reason from a Rutgers standpoint as to why they want to do this before the Ohio State game is because it's an Ohio State game.
Yes.
And it's going to be full of Buckeye fans, so there'll actually be people in the stands.
Guess what? They'll get booed by the Ohio State fans.
Which is fine, but they got recruits there.
Yep.
And it's for a program like Rutgers, it's not necessarily what we have right now, but what we're building and who you get to play against. Like, you see that team out there, you get to go play them. You might be a 3 or 4 star guy. Why don't you stay home and help us build something here so the next time they come to town, it's a different story than this.
Gotcha.
That's the why they would. Again, looking at it, that's the why they would do that now, because he already is going to have recruits coming in so he can show them that. As far as, to me, why didn't they just do it 2 weeks ago? Because then you got more time recruiting. That makes way more sense as opposed to just doing it now. But that being said, that's probably the rationale behind as to why they would do it this weekend.
Probably be the best atmosphere of the season. Ohio State's coming to town. Yep. It makes sense. Most recruits.
Because now you get a dog and you put a chip on his shoulder. It's like, hey, don't you want to come here? And think about where the kid's getting recruited out there, right? The kind of guy that a Rutgers is getting. Maybe a Pitt, maybe a Syracuse, maybe a Buffalo, right? You want to go play for Buffalo when you come here and play in the Big Ten against a number 1, number 2 team in the country? And why don't you stay here and let's go get a big freaking chip on our shoulder, and the next time they come to town, it's not 80% Buckeye fans, but it's 70% Rutgers fans. Like, that's what I want to build. Like, why don't you do that with me?
I'm gonna give you devil's advocate. I think
me.
all the East Coast players want to come to the game against Ohio State because they can't travel to Columbus. So they're like Rutgers. Hey, I get a good chance to see Ohio State in person.
I'll sign up for that. Right?
Yeah, they're like, hey man, I'm interested in
which game
in
you want to
Rutgers
visit?
/ Go Bucks. They're over there. They're like, oh, there we go.
You got to pick which one you want to visit. All right, this has been Letterman Live, brought to you by Roosters. Usually,
are we done?
We're going to do the score prediction.
Oh, I thought we were just still eating.
Well, you can eat whenever you want.
Yeah, I got to calculate 7 times a lot in my head here.
We'll go with Stoney then. Stoney, what do you got?
He's a financial advisor. He's good with numbers.
He does the math.
Yeah, math guy.
Man, 73 times in 1 year. That's a big ass.
Is that a record?
I'm going to have to check.
Look that up.
I got you.
It has to be. I mean,
it's 84. 87.
Man, I'm going to go 50-10.
Ooh.
I mean, they're going to
10
beat the brakes off them.
Okay.
But that second half, you can be up 45-0. And then all of a sudden, it's just the second half can just teeter by and they score here. So
50-10. All right, Stoney set the bar. Schlegs, you're up.
50-10. That's embarrassing. No.
Dude,
no.
In my day, if we won 50-10,
that's because it was in your day.
Right.
We didn't have Ryan Day. That's the problem, right?
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Proof
right.
David Copperfield.
Look how good he's doing at this TV stuff.
I'm looking at 80-0.
80-0. Doss?
I'm going 70. Man, I'm going 70-7. 70-7. We cover the spread. I'm going 70 points. We'll put it up.
91-0.
I like it.
Are they worse? In 2011, I think we played Eastern Michigan. Like, they hadn't won a game in 4 years, and we won 73-0. And I can't picture a worse team than that. And 73 points is so many to score.
I keep having in the press box last weekend. Spencer Holbrook and Tim May were asking me about it and trying to compare them to other teams. I'm like, I would like to see them play Miami of Ohio. Like, I think that's the level of team that we're talking about here, and I've been really mean to them in the show. But how am I not supposed to be? They don't belong in the Big Ten.
No,
they don't belong on a field with Ohio State. And like, I don't see how they can possibly stop them. I don't see how they can move the ball. Like, they've had other injuries in their quarterback play. They're down. They've had injuries that have hurt them. I understand that, but they're just. They had one game where they threw for 1 yard.
Oh, no.
Yeah. You like my prediction? No.
We threw for my senior year. We threw for 12 yards one game.
Again, this is not your senior year. That offensive staff is at Michigan State now.
Right.
Okay, this is different.
For a couple
more days.
This is different, right? These guys.
They lose Saturday. It's over.
Yeah, it's
true.
We
didn't have Justin Fields at quarterback either.
No. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, the difference is that we have so many more weapons across the board, and the depth of the drop off between the 1 and the 2. It's like that, right? I mean, they still. If you look at their depth chart, there's a bunch of oars there, all over the place. Yeah. It's that close, right? And then the drop off from 2 to 3 is that close. There's still an oar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the problem. Even our third string guys, which I know because I coached you and I know those teams, the depth from 1 to 2, for most part on there was significant. The drop off from 2 to 3 was monumental, right? And now we don't have that because we've brought in
it's crazy.
The amount of recruits that we have that are so talented, and they are really, really developed. And they work on their craft, and the coaches do a great job of that, so they're ready to go when called upon. That's really the difference, and why I think 80.
I gotcha.
Sorry.
We'll see. I would love to see him push for 100.
Guy.
I just would like to see it.
But it's going to be over 700 yards again. Hey, the real question should be, do they hold them under 100 yards on defense? That's the real question, because that's bumpy. Now,
that's a bet. That's a bet. Over under 100, say 100.
All right. 125. I'm going to say under 125 on offense.
Total offense.
Yep.
That's a bet.
That's got to.
I'm going to say under 125.
That's got to be under.
Yeah.
Stoney under.
I'll take that. I'm just coming from. That's a lot of points.
All right. How about 700 yards of offense? Under or over?
Oh, that's way over. Way over.
I think it's way over because I predicted 80. You predicted 91. You got to be way over, too.
Well,
you predicted 50. So he's like 500 yards.
There might be some short drives, though. They get the field.
That's what I'm saying. Their offense could be so bad that we're just getting the ball
at the 40,
at the 50 or
50 yard line.
So here's what I would like to see then, if this is the case and this is what we're talking about. I would like to see some type of scoop and score for 6 or
that's
a pick
what I said.
6.
Yeah, pick 6.
Something like that.
Scoop and score. Punt return.
Yeah, you know what? That's
Garrett
one
Wilson
area.
Might take one back this
that's
week.
one area
he's
that we need to see more production out of is our return game.
Yep. Garrett Wilson was finally back out there as a starter. I've been calling that for a couple of weeks. That's the kind of stuff that we're going to be
out there,
breaking down against Rutgers, because I guarantee there's not going to be a lot of other interest about what happens on the field. We're going to be right back here next Monday talking about a much bigger game. Stoney, you don't have to do it. It's Rutgers, okay? You don't have to knock on wood.
Dude, I lost to Purdue way too many times at Purdue. And going in, they were just as bad. I mean, not just
they
as
weren't.
bad. I know, but in your mind they were.
No.
I'm just going to say it anyway. We're going to be right back here next Monday getting ready for Penn State after another win. Ohio State, top-ranked team in the country, 9-0. They will be 10-0 after Saturday at Rutgers. That's Anthony Schlegel. That's Jake Stoneburner. This is Mike Doss. I am just Austin Ward. This has been Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We got Lettermen Live. We've got the practice report. We got rapid reaction. Hey, and we got Buckeye IQ with Zach Bourne.
For sure. We got recruiting breakdowns with Berm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics, we've got you covered here at Lettermen Row.